Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining today. We at CityLift often receive questions on how to unlock the value of automated parking. And today we want to take you through a quick example. Now, we know that every project is unique, but here's a quick look at how automated parking can unlock value and in some cases make the difference between a project that's profitable and one that's not. So let's start with an example using an apartment building. And we'll look at conventional parking and we'll compare that to using automated parking. So the example we're going to use today utilizes what we call a puzzle lift. And at CityLift, a puzzle lift is a system that is highly modular. It also happens to be our most popular system. And for this example, we're going to use a 3-level puzzle, which is very common. This is one that can go at the base of a building, and you need about an 18-foot clearance for it to fit. But once you have that, you can build these out in a modular way to cover whatever your parking needs are going to be. So let's compare the amount of space needed for conventional parking versus automated parking. A well-designed conventional garage uses somewhere around 350 square feet per car. Using a 3-level puzzle lift, developers can save about 60% of the ground floor square footage that's required for parking, taking that square footage down to 140 square feet per parking space. So in other words, you've freed up about 210 square feet per space that you could use in your project for any number of different uses. Now, the answer may be different for your project, but let's assume that that freed up space goes to its highest and best use, which is usually building additional units for your building. This example here uses a monthly rent number from the San Francisco Bay Area at about $3.40 a square foot. But to do this analysis, you can plug in whatever rent per square foot works for your market. Now, remember, we're not removing parking spaces. We're just reducing the square feet devoted to parking. So the revenue from conventional and automated parking garages is going to be the same. And as a side note, we typically do not see a material difference in the revenue for a conventional garage and an automated parking space. And we have seen residents who are happy to have a more secure and convenient parking space with an automated parking solution. Now we see vastly different values per square foot when we free up parking spaces and use that for additional residential units. In this example here, we've gone from 79 cents a square foot up to $4.19 a square foot, or an increase in $3.40 per square foot. Now let's make this a little bit more practical and turn this extra space into profit for you. So in this example here, let's say that the automated parking saves you the equivalent of 4 parking spaces. In other words, enough to create a 700 square foot studio apartment. So let's talk about how we turn that into extra profit. Let's assume for right now that for every 4 parking spaces that you can save, you can build a new studio apartment. So in that example there, if you're doing a comparison of your revenue, your conventional parking structure will get you the parking revenue for those 4 parking spaces. The automated parking example not only gets you that revenue, but it gets you the incremental revenue from that studio apartment. So in this case, using the Bay Area example, that studio apartment rents for a little over $2,300 a month, giving you that incremental revenue that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Now, what about the operating profit? Well, let's assume a conservative 45% gross margin on the monthly parking profit. Your margin may vary depending on your building and how you allocate costs. But in this case, those 4 parking spaces would then bring in roughly $495 in monthly gross margin. Now let's talk about the advantage that that additional studio gets you in profitability. Since the operating costs to your building won't change materially by adding one new unit, it's safe to assume that most of that additional revenue from that incremental unit drops to the bottom line. In this example, we allocated about 15% for direct expenses. And with that, as you can see, the margin for the new unit adds another $2,000 to your building's monthly gross margin. So you'd add this all together. With the 4 parking spaces you've freed up, you've increased your gross margin from about $500 to about $2,500. In other words, you've multiplied your profit by 5 times. Now remember, this is just for 4 parking spaces. As you repeat this pattern, as many of our customers have realized, you can fundamentally increase the value of your project. So we hope this example is helpful in showing you how repurposing parking space can help boost your bottom line. At CityLift, saving space is what we do, and we are happy to review potential solutions for your project. Thank you for listening.